Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I wanted to do just another short video today addressing travel. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've always loved travel. If that could be my job, just to travel and see the world, I would do that. That and being a student forever, just learning. That would be amazing. Anyway, I think some people are surprised when they hear that I love to travel. I haven't traveled alone a lot. I've only done that about one time in a foreign country. But I do go around like my home city, or I did a study abroad, and I walked around that city by myself once I got to know it, and got to know it by myself even. So yeah, it's possible. However, I will say it's probably going to depend, on the severity of your seizure disorder, how under control or not under control it is at any given time. Thankfully, the times that I've traveled, I've been with friends or family, and my seizures are more or less controlled. But yeah, if you tend to have a lot of them or more often, you do probably want to be more cautious. But I've actually found that it's a pretty, people are pretty supportive and kind, contrary to what we hear on the news a lot. For instance, in 2017, I believe it was 2017? I went on a trip to Spain for a dance thing. It was a group trip. And at the end of the trip, I decided to hop on the train by myself for a couple days and stay in southern France. I had 2 or 3 days left, so I was like, why not just sneak into another country while I can? Not sneak, but legally go to sneak in the time. But point being that I did. I stayed in Montpellier, and what's the name of the other one? Marseille. And I was supposed to go to Nice, but there was fires on the train track that day and I couldn't go. But I will say I did have a seizure while I was in the town square, this like open piazza type place in Montpellier. And there were no benches nearby where I was. I was in the dead center of that. There was barely anyone around. It was all stone. It wasn't soft, so I literally just knelt down in the middle of the square, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm having a seizure like this right here. And I did. Thankfully it wasn't like a grand mal seizure. I wasn't banging my head against the floor or anything. It was a relatively small one, sort of partial type seizure that I have sometimes. Just for me, it was like a tingling in my left arm, left side of my face, some lovely drooling, gorgeous. And actually a bunch of guys, I think it was a group of like 6 guys in their early 20s, I'm guessing, saw and came over and like asked if I needed help, and they were speaking French, and others of them were speaking Italian, and I don't speak French, so I was able to say in French, "Je ne sais pas français," because that's the only phrase I know in French. And I do know a little Italian, but I was able to communicate to these guys that I speak English, and thankfully they spoke more English than I spoke of either one of their languages at the time. And yeah, they were very supportive. They asked if I needed help or an ambulance, and they did call one for me just in case. I told them I didn't need one, but it was there by the time we had finished communicating this. I guess they had called it ahead of time. And yeah, so they just were very kind, very helpful, very, like, we had a great conversation. And it was just one of those acts of kindness that really, like, not just made my day, but really, I remember it. I remember it a lot, because that could have ended badly. It could have been a very dangerous situation, but it wasn't. And, the guys in the ambulance were also very kind, and, they took my blood pressure and temperature and I don't know what else, just in the back of the thing, and they're like, "You sure you're all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. My hotel's just down this way, which was true. And I did feel stable and safe enough to walk back to my hotel, which is where I was going anyway. And that's the only time I've had a seizure that, like, majorly public in a foreign country by myself. Like I said, I try not to travel alone. It's usually safer to travel with other people and more fun a lot of times. And the other strange place I did have a seizure one time was when I was traveling with my friend to Iceland. I had a seizure on the airplane. And thankfully, one of the lady in front of me was a nurse practitioner or registered nurse, something. Anyway, she was, able to help out, and it wasn't as small of a seizure. It was a little bit bigger of a seizure than the France one, but I was fine. They made sure I was okay. I think both my friend and I were a little shaken because I'd never had one on a plane before, and I've been on planes since forever, so many times. And I guess by law, once you land, there's like an ambulance waiting for you. And there was an ambulance waiting for me. I didn't have to get in it, but I had to get in it for them to like take my vitals and all that. But on the plus side, the guy at the time who was in the ambulance, this Icelandic guy, was very gorgeous, very kind. So that was kind of fun too. Kind of a weird thing to say, but I was appreciative of his help, and my friend and I were like, hey, Iceland's not so bad so far. Anyway, I'm just being funny anyway. So yeah, I think travel's definitely possible. It's fun, but always check with yourself first to see if you feel comfortable. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.